Listen to what the Supreme Court said in the United States concerning the Ten Commandments. If the posted copies of the Ten Commandments are to have any effect at all, it will be to induce the school children to read, meditate upon, perhaps to venerate and obey the commandments. This is not a permissible state objective. James Wilson, a signer of the Constitution and original justice on the United States Supreme Court and co-author of America's first legal commentaries on the Constitution, he said, "Human law must rest its authority ultimately upon the authority of that law which is divine. Far from being rivals or enemies, religion and law are twin sisters. Indeed, these two sciences run into each other. The divine law forms an essential part of both." In 1962, the 22-word unconstitutional prayer, "Almighty God, we acknowledge our dependency upon Thee, and we beg Thy blessings upon us, our parents, our teachers, and our country." This prayer acknowledges God the same amount of times as the Pledge of Allegiance and 1/4 times as the Declaration of Independence, yet this prayer was unconstitutional? In Abington versus Shemp in 1962, the court reported that only 3% of the nation did not believe in religion or God. The unconstitutional prayer was consistent with the beliefs of 97% of the country, thus making 3% the majority for the first time in America. In this prayer, we ask God to bless 4 things: students, families, schools, and the nation. Before 1962 and 1963, the courts used biblical guidelines in all 4 areas. George Washington warned in his farewell address, "Let us with caution indulge the supposition that morality can be maintained without religion, whatever may be conceded to the influence of refined education on minds. Reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in exclusion of religious principle." What happened to students after 1962 when the United States Supreme Court committed an oligarchy? That's where few rule over many in doing their best to eradicate the Ten Commandments. Birth rates for unwed girls 15 to 19 years old have increased every year and have gone up 553% in girls 10 to 14 years old. Sexually transmitted diseases increased dramatically to a 226% ratio in students 15 to 19 years old and have gone up 257% in, again, ages 10 to 14 years old. Premarital sex up 365% in teenagers 16 years old, 271% in teenagers 17 years old, and 209% in teenagers 18 years old, and 1,000% up in teenagers 15 years old. What happened in schools after 1962? SAT scores plummeted for 18 consecutive years. The rates are so low that the Department of Education, first time in American history, that we are graduating out a generation of students who academically know less than their parents did. The SAT test has been the same since 1941, yet there is nearly an 80-point difference between the 2 generations. In 1962, there were only 1,000 Christian schools, but by 1984, there were 32,000 Christian schools in the United States. Currently, 8.5 million students attend religious private schools, and SAT scores are nearly 80 points higher for private school students. These private schools even receive 2/5 less funding per student and are still topping the charts because of their teaching of Christian principles in school. What happened in the nation after 1962? Well, violent crimes are up 794%. America is number one in the Western world in the following: violent crime, divorce, teenage pregnancy, voluntary abortion, illegal drug use, illiteracy. In recent years, a White House briefing recently reported that 700,000 students graduating high school could not even read their own diplomas. Who would know better than William Bennett, the U.S. Secretary of Education, when he said, "In America today, the longer you stay in school, the dumber you get." English scholar John Locke, who influenced many of our founding fathers, was right when he said, "Wherever law ends, tyranny begins." Let me give you some factual knowledge. The federal government has no lawful business in religious affairs, nor do they have any lawful business in the education of your children.